Shakib. The name echoes in living rooms and social media feeds, but recently it's not for reasons he'd prefer. The cheers have faded, replaced by discontent. Why is everyone angry at Shakib? Imagine a dumpster fire at a kitten adoption fair. It's messy, uncomfortable, and no one's happy. Shakib is a big deal, like the Beyoncé of cricket, but now he's the poster boy for public disapproval. Anger doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's like that weird smell in your fridge, something caused it. Understanding the why behind the anger is crucial. Buckle up, we're about to unpack this saga. Picture this, a tense standoff, the air thick with expectation. But instead of cowboys and tumbleweeds, we have Shakib and a microphone. Yes, the incident that launched 1,000 angry tweets, give or take a few thousand, all started with a simple act of communication, or rather, a spectacular misfire of it. Now, I'm not at liberty to reveal the exact nature of this incident. Legal reasons, you know, those pesky things. But let's just say it involves some strong words, a healthy dose of misinterpretation, and enough awkwardness to make a room full of teenagers spontaneously combust. Needless to say, the internet exploded. Think of it as the online equivalent of dropping a Mentos Mint into a Diet Coke bottle. Messy, unpredictable, and ultimately impossible to ignore. But here's the thing about explosions, digital or otherwise, they usually start with a spark. And in Shakib's case, this incident was merely the match that ignited a much larger bonfire of frustration, one that had been slowly smoldering for quite some time. Let's be honest, folks, this isn't Shakib's first time at the rodeo. He's had his share of controversies in the past, little hiccups in his otherwise illustrious career. Think of them as the greatest hits of his missteps, played on repeat, much to the chagrin of his PR team. There was that time well, let's just call it a disagreement with a referee. The sporting world agreed the referee was wrong, but Shakib's reaction, let's just say he could have handled it with a bit more grace and a lot less yelling. Then there was that other incident, the one involving let's just say a misunderstanding with a brand sponsor. Contracts were involved, lawyers were consulted, it wasn't pretty. The point is, this latest controversy, while a doozy, isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern, a recurring theme in the ballad of Shakib, and frankly, people are starting to get a little tired of the same old song and dance. They're looking for a new tune, one that involves a bit less drama and a lot more accountability. Social media. The digital town square where everyone's an expert, an activist, and a comedian, often all at the same time. It's also the place where Shakib's latest misstep became the main course on everyone's digital menu. Within minutes of the incident, the internet transformed into a digital coliseum, with thumbs furiously typing and memes being shared faster than you can say cancel culture. Hashtags were born, trends were set, and Shakib found himself on the receiving end of a digital tsunami of opinions, most of them less than favorable. Now, social media outrage can be a fickle beast. It can be powerful, bringing important issues to light and holding people accountable. But it can also be prone to exaggeration, misinformation, and good old-fashioned mob mentality. In Shakib's case, it's been a bit of both. While some of the criticism leveled against him has been valid, some of it has been, well, let's just say a tad over the top. Because let's face it, folks, there's a fine line between holding someone accountable and engaging in a digital witch hunt. Section 5. The cultural context, respect and expectations. To understand the anger at Shakib, we need to look beyond the digital realm. It's about cultural expectations and societal norms. In Shakib's world, there's deep respect for influential figures. They're held to higher standards, both on and off the field. Their actions are scrutinized and words dissected. Shakib represents his community and country. His actions reflect on everyone he represents. When actions are seen as disrespectful, people get touchy. Section 6. Misunderstandings and misinterpretations. Lost in translation? Now, before we go any further, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room, or rather, the possibility of a giant misunderstanding-shaped elephant. You see, sometimes, in the heat of the moment, things get lost in translation. Words are misinterpreted, intentions are misconstrued, and what started as a minor disagreement escalates into a full-blown international incident. It's entirely possible that Shakib's infamous incident wasn't as malicious or ill-intended as it appeared. Maybe it was a simple case of miscommunication, a cultural misunderstanding, or just a really, really bad joke gone wrong. The problem is, once the internet gets a hold of something, it's like trying to put toothpaste back into the tube. It's messy, it's frustrating, and it rarely ends well. So, while it's important to acknowledge the possibility of misunderstanding, it's also crucial to remember that perception is reality, especially in the court of public opinion. And right now, the perception is that Shakib messed up, big time. Section 7. The psychology of anger. Why we're so invested. Why do we care so much? Why does a celebrity's faux pas send us into a spiral of online fury? Well, it's more than just gossip and boredom, my friends. It's about psychology, about the complex relationship between fans, idols, and the expectations we project onto them. We invest emotionally in our heroes. We celebrate their triumphs as our own, feel their losses as personal blows. They represent something we admire, aspire to be. So when they stumble, it feels like a betrayal of that ideal, a crack in the carefully constructed image we've built in our minds. This anger, then, is a defense mechanism, a way to protect ourselves from the discomfort of cognitive dissonance. It's easier to be angry, to demand accountability, than to reconcile with the fact that our idols are flawed human beings, just like the rest of us. Section 8. Shakib's response, adding fuel to the fire. Now, in the aftermath of any public relations disaster, there's one crucial question. How does the person at the center of the storm respond? Do they apologize? Do they deflect? Do they double down on their actions? In Shakib's case, well, let's just say his response has been unconventional. Instead of issuing a heartfelt apology, or at least acknowledging the concerns of his fans, Shakib chose a different route. He went on the offensive. He defended his actions, questioned the motives of his critics, and generally gave the impression that he was the victim in all of this. Needless to say, this didn't go over well. If the internet was a bonfire before, Shakib's response was like dumping a tanker truck of gasoline on it. The flames of outrage grew higher, fueled by the perception that he was arrogant, out of touch, and completely unwilling to take responsibility for his actions. Section 9. The importance of dialogue, bridging the gap. So, where do we go from here? How do we move past the anger, the hurt, the sense of betrayal? Well, it starts with dialogue. It starts with Shakib acknowledging the concerns of his fans, understanding the cultural context of his actions, and engaging in a genuine conversation about accountability and responsibility. It's not about demanding a public flogging or cancelling him entirely. It's about creating a space for open and honest communication, where both sides can express their perspectives without resorting to personal attacks or inflammatory rhetoric. This is not to say that forgiveness should be automatic, or that Shakib's actions should be excused. Accountability is crucial, but accountability without dialogue, without a genuine attempt at understanding, is simply punishment. And punishment, without rehabilitation, rarely leads to positive change. Section 10. Lessons learned, a time for reflection. This whole saga, as messy and uncomfortable as it's been, offers valuable lessons for everyone involved. For Shakib, it's a stark reminder that words have power, that actions have consequences, and that even the most beloved figures are not immune to criticism. For the fans, it's a chance to reflect on our own expectations, to recognize that our idols are human beings with flaws and vulnerabilities, and to engage in constructive criticism that encourages growth rather than simply tearing someone down. And for society as a whole, it's an opportunity to examine the complex relationship between celebrity and fandom, to question the pressure we place on public figures, and to create a more nuanced and compassionate approach to holding people accountable for their actions. Section 11, moving forward, a chance for redemption. So, what's next for Shakib? Can he recover from this, rebuild the trust he's lost, and reclaim his place in the hearts of his fans? Only time will tell. Redemption is a long and arduous journey, one that requires genuine remorse, concrete actions, and a willingness to learn from past mistakes. It's not about erasing the past or pretending it never happened. It's about acknowledging the hurt caused, making amends for past wrongs, and demonstrating through consistent behavior that lessons have been learned. The path forward won't be easy. There will be setbacks, criticisms, and moments of doubt. But if Shakib is willing to put in the work, to engage in honest self-reflection and demonstrate a genuine commitment to change, then perhaps, just perhaps, he can emerge from this experience stronger, wiser, and more deserving of the admiration he once enjoyed.